Welcome to Stories That Matter. I am your host, Doug Thompson, with my special guest today, Valerie Shipman from Chapman, Kansas. And Valerie, it's a pleasure to have you here. This is Stories That Matter, and we always enjoy having people come in and they have a particular story, and that's why I say Stories That Matter, because you've got a story too. You have written a number of books. You brought a couple of them in with you right now. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation the other day as we were getting ready for this, and you've got like 16 more books that you've been writing on, but these two are done.
Yes, these two are in publication right now. They're available on Amazon. You can find them by putting in my pen name, and both will pop up.
And your pen name?
Josephyna Ries.
And that, of course, is what appears on the book, and your
Yes.
real name is what I've already said, but these are your
Yes.
How did you use this name?
Well, when I was born in a Catholic hospital, and my parents were Catholic. Catholic doctrine does not recognize a diminutive middle name. So my name was Valerie Jo, but according to the Catholic Church, it was Valerie Josephine Ries. So when I went to publish, I had a good friend of mine say, "Do not use your real name." And of course, my husband said, "Do not use your real name." So I thought, okay, I need a name that's going to be a little unique. So I took my middle name and made it Josephyna, and then my last name of Ries. And my family all thought that was wonderful. So, and that's how that evolved.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. It looks very good. Which of the two books here did you finish first? Which one of them?
The Dragonfly and the Prince was the debut of the Chronicles.
Tell me about the book.
Well, the book is a love story, a love at first sight, on the fact that the prince, the first time he ever saw her, he saw her in a flyer that was advertising an event she was going to perform at. He couldn't put it down. And he finally told his ambassador, said, "I want tickets to this. I'm going to this event." And so the ambassador said, "Okay, fine." And he basically stalked this young woman all over the city. She had an art event, he was there. She was shopping in a store, he was there. Finally, at an event where she was in a receiving line, getting accolades from all of the people, he come up to her and he said, "Nice performance." Well, prelude to that, he had thrown a white rose, which was the highest tribute you could give to a ballerina. And in his enthusiasm, he had his valet go to the lobby and buy all the white roses he could find, buy jewelry for her, and a fur coat, and take them to her and say, "My prince wants to see you." Well, of course, she was offended. This man, she's very small. This man's up close to 7 foot tall. She goes, "Come here." And he gets down on his knees. And he's got this big bouquet of flowers in this crystal vase. She takes the flowers, and he's thinking, okay, she's going to accept his gifts. She takes the flowers and upends them over his head, takes the vase in one hand, slams the door, and immediately says, "Oh, I shouldn't have probably done that. That wasn't nice."
As she gets on the other side of the door, she says, "Maybe that wasn't a good idea."
Maybe it wasn't, because he's not the one that offended me. His boss did. So she opens up the door to try and say, "I'm sorry." Kenachakwa, which is his name, is gone. He is moved out very quick. And she's like, wow, somebody that big in this narrow area could move that fast? So she brushes it off, as, okay, well, this is just one of those fan things that, I've had to deal with. Well, then she goes that evening to a reception. All the performers are there. She's still in her stage makeup. She's still got the same gown she danced in. And and the only thing she can think of is, "I'm hungry, I need some rest, and boy, I just want to go soak in a hot tub." Because she's sore. She just got done performing a very intricate dance routine.
How old is she in your book?
She's getting ready to turn 21. She lives in an institute for gifted children. And as she gets closer to 21, she's no longer a child. preface in the book is there's an individual that is part of the Institute that is very cruel to her, lusting after her, basically says, I can help you stay here if you do this for me, quid pro quo. And she doesn't want to do that. She's got a friend of hers says, okay, move in with me. Chev is not good for you. He's going to keep after you and something bad's going to happen. Well, prior to that, during this receiving line, she's got a lot on her mind because she's turning 21. If I believe, that day she turns 21, and she's saying, "What am I going to do?"
She would have aged out of the place she was in that ends at the age of 21, and she was coming up on it.
She was getting ready to turn 21, which was the age of being an adult, and she no longer could stay at the Institute because it was for children. She was not a child anymore. Well, she is at the last event for the Institute, which is a receiving line where all the patrons of the arts come, and if they want to sponsor you, it's like any group, theatrical arts, they have to fundraise. So she's basically there because they told me I got to come here because I'm their biggest show item. Well, the prince finds out after Kennechuckwat receives his bath that there's going to be this event. I call it the baptism because that's basically what she did. She christened
poured water on him,
She doused him good. He's in the receiving line, and all Dominique can think of is, what am I going to do? Well, Prince Dimitros is there. He's going to meet the woman that has plagued his every day for the last week or so.
He's fascinated with her.
He's more than fascinated. He is like obsessed. This person is an obsession to him. And so he gets in front of her and he says something to the effect of, nice dousing of my valet.
Thanks for the shower.
Thanks for the baptism for him. And she's like looking up like, what? And Dominique had hoped that the individual would be there so she could apologize. She was hoping Kennechuckwat would be there, not Dimitros. And she doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah, right.
She just knows that this guy, I've seen him everywhere I go. Well, he pulls her out of the receiving line. She's not going to make a scene. Everybody's like watching her, and they're like, okay, where's she going? And he takes her to the balcony, and they exchange conversation. He gets her a meal because basically one of the things is she's like, I'm hungry and I'm tired and I need something to drink. So he gives her all this stuff, and one of the prince's bodyguards, Roald, is there with him. Well, while they're sitting, they talk for hours, and he's just fascinated with her. I mean, their whole world is like this one table. And all of a sudden, Chev comes in, and Chev is the antagonist from the Institute. And he's always drunk. In the book, pretty much always Chev had either been drinking heavily or is starting to be drunk. And he comes in, Domino, because that's her performing name. Time to go. And he comes up to the table and he goes, well, Domino, you've whored yourself well. You've got yourself a fan. A big wig here. And Dimitros he's a foreigner. He's an intergalactic prince. Some of what's being said, he's not quite understanding, but he's understanding the tone. Well, Chev goes to grab Dominique, and in the process of that, she pulls away, which angers Chev, and he is not one to allow that to go. So he pulls her up. She falls, hits the side with her head of the bistro table, which, anytime you get a head injury, it just bleeds. It knocks her out momentarily. Dimitros goes into a red rage. He's like, whoa, wait a minute. This can't be happening. So he picks up Chev, and he's about ready to kill him because,
throw him off the balcony.
He throws him about 50 feet into,
okay.
And he picks up Dominique, and the ambassador is inside the building, and he has seen the chair fly back that Dimitros was sitting in. He has heard the altercation. He knows that his prince is out there, and oh Lord, this is going to be a diplomatic nightmare. He comes out the balcony, and Dimitros and Roald are running down the back steps of this installation, and they're going towards the official car. for Caledonia Debian.
She's running with him?
He's carrying her.
Oh, okay.
She is unconscious. Well, she regains consciousness in the limousine and starts fighting him because she's like, I don't know you. I want out.
I'm being kidnapped.
I don't know you. You might do something really bad to me. And she's an innocent. She is a performer, but she is innocent as far as relations between a man and a woman. And he takes her not to the hospital, which is where Kennechuckwa was going, because Kennechuckwa has come back to drive the limo. Instead of going to the hospital, he takes her to the hotel where him and his entourage are staying. He has a traveling physician with him named Sanjeev, and Pilar, his wife. And he brings her in, and she's bleeding, and I don't know what to do. She's hurt, so they treat her, and they give her, she sleeps, and he puts her in his bed, and he's like, that threw him off there too, because he's a very structured individual. And and then we've got he takes her out of the environment she's in, places her in an environment where, she's safe, but now he's got a problem because he recruits for his world ship, which he lives on, which is a big spaceship basically. He recruits only married couples. Now he's got this girl who
that he's fascinated with.
And he says she's going to be a teacher for him. Well, where's her pairment? And that's the first thing that Roald asks him. So, okay, who is she paired with? Because your own rule states. And Demetros goes, don't worry about it.
So he has a plan.
And
is that somewhere here in the book you begin to see that transition?
Oh, yes.
Okay, now I want to be clear with this one. I don't want to give away the ending.
Oh.
I don't want to tell you, I don't want to know how it ends, although if I'm guessing, I am going to guess they get together and live happily ever after. Mm-hmm. And so let me just ask you some questions. How do you come up with the idea? I mean, how do you come up with the idea to say, well, here's a girl that lives here in this home here, and she can stay there till 21. She has the ability to do this. She does these things. And here's a 7-foot-tall guy, a prince that obviously is fascinated by her, and now they sort of make connection. How do you do that? Do you, like 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and okay, I'm getting a vision here. How's that work?
Well, this particular book has been kind of rattling around with me. I've started it, stopped for probably since I was in my early 20s. Last March, not this last March, but the year ago this last March. 21, when all the crazies and stuff was happening with COVID, I kept on having a recurring dream about these characters. So I contacted my mentor, Dorinda Jones, because she is a best-selling author, and I said, this is what's going on. And she goes, because I prefaced it, I think I'm losing my mind. And she's, oh, really? Again? And I said, this is what's going on. Because she asked me, she got serious, and she asked me, said, okay, what's going on? So I told her. And she says, you're an author. You got to write this stuff down, because it's going to plague you till you do. The storyline, like I said, I've been kind of playing with it for a while. It just evolved. I'm not an outline writer. My characters a lot of times will take off in a direction I don't even think they're going to go there. It's like they have lives, and they'll tell me when I'm not going where they want to go. I mean, it's like trying to make a horse go someplace they don't want to go. You
Right.
have to manhole. That's what they would do. And I again contact her and says, I am losing my mind now. And she goes, oh, Lord, why? Why do you think that? So I told her. She says, no. She says, that just means you've got a story in you that needs to be told. So she says, okay, write your story. Well, mind you, March to May, I wrote a book that had over 435,000 words.
And that's about 6 times what a normal book would have?
Normal book for this. Each
Mm-hmm.
of these books have about 70 to 80,000, 70 to 85,000 words. That's pretty top end for a romance, unless you're like Christine Feehan or Dorinda Jones, that well known. You can have these books, mm-hmm. But so she told me, she's okay. You finished your book. It's in first draft. go and join some online romance writer guilds. So I did. Well, one of the requirements was I had to submit chapters to prove I was a romance writer. It didn't matter if it was finished, polished, anything.
Just wanted to see that you were actually engaged in it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I sent that, and I started getting calls, emails from publishing houses that are non-traditional publishing houses, but are for people who want to self-publish.
Okay.
I had 3 that were very, very aggressive. One, which I kicked out right away because they were being condescending and acting like, they were not who I wanted to work with.
Okay.
So the publishing house I finally went with was Page. They were very, very patient because they knew I was going to check out what they were going to offer. And so I did. And my mentor, she says, just for my own benefit, how much are you paying for editing? And I told her. And mine comes with an editing package, and it comes with everything. They do layout, they do art, everything. And she goes, I pay more than that for my editing. She says, you better go with them. So that started the journey. But when I submitted it to them, the full manuscript, they told me, okay, this is too long. And I'm like, okay. They said, we need you to break it up in no less than 3, preferably 4 volumes. So this is like Solomon with the baby. Where do I cut this thing? So I did. I found natural breaks in the storyline, created a couple natural breaks during the creation of the books to make it flow, but yet make it to where you want to see that next book.
So this is a cut down version?
Yes, that is the first portion of what was a 4-book series. Now is a 3-book series because the 3rd book will be a combination of the 3rd and 4th.
All right. I've got another one in my hands. What is this?
That's the 2nd book of the Caledonian Debian Chronicles.
Characters the same?
Characters the same. You've got some additional characters. This is the first time that the king is actually going to make a personal appearance. He's very reclusive. He's very distrustful of anything outside his sphere. He thinks his son has just lost his mind because his son has told him, says, hey, I just took this young lady for my wife.
Oh, this tall guy, that 7-foot guy that you're talking about, he winds up marrying her?
They get together.
Okay.
And,
now, I don't want you to give away the whole book because if I'm going to read the rest of that, I don't want to get to the end.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot more in the first book than I've talked about. The 2nd book, like I said, the king makes his first appearance, and he is very, very staunch. Oh, he's protocol. He's suspicious. He is. If you've ever seen a royal presence, he is a royal presence. You bow to him, you curtsy to him, you don't get up unless he tells you. Everything's dictated towards him. The Caledonian Debian language is extremely difficult to learn. Dominique is an extremely intelligent young woman. She learns the language because Neshoba, who is one of the retainers for Prince Demetros, teaches her. Not just so she can say, hi, how you doing? Welcome to my home, but to carry on a conversation and understand what is coming back to her. So the first time the king has anything to do with Dominique is he drags her off of the podium. She's down in a
She's kind of used to that by now, huh?
Oh yeah, he takes her off because he wants to talk to her. Because he's thinking, okay, I'm going to find out what this person's all about. Well, she has already talked to him in his own language, which he found kind of impressive because he knows that his language is difficult. He drags her off, literally drags her along because he's a big man. He's 7 foot. This race,
just like his son.
Just like his son, but he has authority. I mean, he could say, nope, you're gone.
You would not know this, but those of us who are watching, like me, that are listening to this, and I see something that's obvious in there because pretty soon as you start telling these stories, you have separated you from the stories, and now the stories are standalone. And as I listen to you, it is just like, well, I'm just telling you what I saw and heard. And no, Doug, that's what I'm telling you. I want these books to be able to be shared with others. How do the people get the books?
Well, right now, currently, they are on Amazon, in ebook and in the paperback hard copy. To find both books, you have to research, put in Amazon search, Josephyna Ries. Both books will pop up. If you just want The Dragonfly and the Prince, which is the first book, you can type in The Dragonfly and the Prince. It'll pop up. But to get the second book, you have to put in my pen name because it'll tie them all together.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much. And Valerie, I appreciate you stopping by, and hope you guys enjoy the books because it's very well written. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
See you next time, Stories That Matter.